Jesse504 here, bringing you APL-Insurgence quarterfinals. We did it, boys. We got number one seed in our division, which is incredible. We've had such a great season. Um, so we should, in theory, have the easiest schedule in playoffs, but in practice, everyone in playoffs is just really good. So we're gonna have to really work for this championship. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a wild ride. If we go over, not Shady Kid, he's had a great season, in my opinion. He started off 1-3, and y'all remember the week 4 game if you were around for that. Um, he lost to us in a pretty deciding fashion, 5-0. And then he decided to make some transactions, and now his team is scary strong. He went after that. I believe he started 1-3. He ended 6-4. So he went 5-1 in his last 6 games, which is incredible. And his only loss was to Porpoise, which I believe was a little bit hacksy, but I could be wrong. And even that was just a 1-0. But if we go over his roster real quick, we see Mega Stunfisk has been a monster for him. He's brought it almost every week. He brought it against us. Thankfully, I have one of the better checks to it in Porygon 2, which traces its ability and then just does a shit ton of damage back. Delta Cake, it literally clicks Shell Smash and it wins. I believe the thing was 4th on the kill leaderboard, but I could be slightly wrong, maybe 5th. Yeah, but also shout out to our team. We couldn't quite seal up first place on the kill board, but consolation prize, Hoopa ended at 2, Flygon ended at 3. So fantastic season for that as well. We were slaughtering. Delta Scizor, its dual stabs, you saw when I played the Mega Delta Scizor, it completely fucked me over. This thing does so much, holy shit. Delta Ambipom, it shouldn't be coming. Tangrowth shuts that thing down. Delta Blaziken is such a pain. It has Gale Wings, so it's going to be going first. And clicking buttons, doing annoying type shit, and really just being an overall pain. Fortress, Hazard Bot, I don't think it can reliably come into Cinderace. And it's kind of fodder for any Hoopa set that I might want to bring that sets up, any Mega Flygon set that I might want to bring that can set up, so I don't see it coming. Delta Milo is such a fucking painful mon to deal with. It's so fat. In the mock, let me just tell you, it didn't take 50% from anything other than Sucker Punches off Cinderace. It was such a pain, and so I had to sort of adjust my team prep around that thing. Delta Toxicroak has like hustle, and so it can hit hard. I believe it's pure fire type. I don't see it coming though. MyMG again, don't see coming. I think he's used it 2 games as healing witch support. I don't think he needs that. And then Delta Aurorus. So I heard you like leftovers. How about we give you an ability that's leftovers, but you can also stack it with leftovers for 12% recovery. This is so nutty. Thankfully, I have many tools to get around this thing. It's water grass, so it's weak to U-turn, which is nice because I have plenty of U-turn on my team. Let's just go ahead and get into the actual team that we're running, starting off with this Empo. Last time this was my check to the Crustle Cake. I did not realize it got Wild Charge. I lost my Empo. We've got with Conberry this time to help deal with that, although afterwards I figured out I could run Brick Break, so I'm just basically throwing these berries on for nothing. Torrent, we're now physical. We've got Flash Cannon just so that Crustle can't set up on us for free. Scald, Rocks, Toxic. Yeah, that's just a basic set. It was Rocks Defog, and then I was like, oh shit, this Milo, and I had no Toxic on my team before, so I had to throw this on. Fizdef, I believe this attack was to Tuco, but I could be wrong. And then, yeah, just all around solid set. Up next, we've got Mega Flygon, which is sub 3 attack. I can sub on more passive Pokemon. Stunfisk is actually great sub fodder because in my normal form, I'm immune to both of its stabs, and generally he runs like T-Bolt, Volt Switch, EP, Rocks. Like, that's all Stunfisk can really do. It gets Scald, which is like its only real form of coverage. It also has Sludge Wave, I believe. But like, yeah, it doesn't get too much coverage, and ground electric is fantastic. So I just expect that he would just try to volt switch out potentially, as opposed to do something else. So actually, if we don't mega, I don't believe EP just chunks this thing and is really nice. Up next, we've got the Delta Tangrowth with Body Press, Spikes, Synthesis, EQ, Yachi. You might remember this and say, hey, this looks familiar. Yeah, it's pretty much the same lead or same bait Tangrowth set that we used to lure Mega Delta Scizor. And now we just have Delta Scizor. Such a pain to deal with, but we got this. I think we can do well. Up next, CINDERACE. We've got the boots, big boots. Boots guy this week. I think that this set just puts in so much work. Gunk, U-turn, Pyro Ball, Sucker. Sucker is just, I need that for priority in case he decides to be Sash over White Herb on the Crustle. Sucker will allow me to finish that thing off at 1 health. Gunk, Okos, Crustle. U-turn, great, and then Pyro Ball. Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory, but it gets the job done. Up next, Hoopa, Scarf. He has a tough time switching into this thing. Arrow, Blast, Ice Beam, Volt Switch, Heat Wave. I went Volt Switch because I just didn't think that Fisk would ever come in on this. And even if it did, Unmega'd would be such a pain if I got staticked. And so, and along with our last mon, which is P2 with the EVO, Trace, Ice Beam, Teleport, Recover, T-Wave. If we can T-Wave the Crustle, we should be able to deal with it with our Hoopa. So that's nice. But yeah, these are our sets, and I will see you guys with the replay. Alrighty, so we are at lead preview. Not Shady's team is Delta Spam, so there aren't going to be any sprites. Sorry about that, but let me just mouse over so you guys can see what he brings. Which is the Delta Scizor, the Delta Crustle Cake, the Stunfisk, the Delta Blaziken, the Delta Aurorus, and the Delta Milo, which is just honestly such a threatening team. CINDERACE does go in on this roster, though, so I figured, yeah, it's the fastest thing. I think it's a pretty free lead, and in fact, he just leads Crustle. So I just have to click Gunk here. If I missed, I might have gotten 6-0'd. He just lead smashes, though. We don't poison, which means that we now are locked in a 50-50. I insta-click Sucker. I figured maybe he doesn't think I'm Sucker. Maybe he thinks I'm Scarf. Maybe he thinks I'm something else. So I insta-click Sucker. And then about 5 seconds goes by. I unclick Sucker. And I'm like, okay, he's clearly contemplating the Sucker read at this point. Let's think about this. And what does he gain by smashing? And the answer is, if I have any raw priority on my team, which I might have like Jet Empo for this thing, he just raw loses his Crustle for the only value of my CINDERACE, which I figured he might actually just take. So I figured he might just want to take my CINDERACE, but I have 8 Sucker Punch PP. And in this scenario, I would give away 6 Sucker Punch PP gladly. And I don't think he's the type of guy who would just spam setup in my face 4 turns in a row, not gaining anything out of it. So I just raw click the Sucker, and we actually get it. Massive. Giving me that thing for no value is so huge. Stunfisk comes out, he's gonna Mega. I U-turn and go out into my P2. I know I can take a hit. We get the Athenian, which is massive. EPs me. Drops my Spadef. I'm forced to switch out. I go out into my Flygon thinking I can maybe absorb an EP. Nah, he just Volt switches me. Here I just sub. And he Volt switches again. Huge. And now I'm behind a sub. Out comes the Blaziken on my Earth Power, which is fine. Here I Mega, and I click Dracon Voice, raw killing. I knew Bulky could live a Dracon Voice, and I figured he would pop his Gale Wings, and he would break my sub off of like a Brave Bird Gale Wings, and then I would finish him with the Dracon Voice if I hit it. But actually, he just misclicks, which is massive because now my Flygon is behind a sub, and I think it did its job. It took out one member of his team, and we just Dracon Voice, and he reveals to be Spadef Milo. Or not Spadef, but like at least max HP, and I'm pretty sure some Spadef. Just because in the mock, Fizdef Milo was brought, and I was doing around like almost 50, but not quite. So yeah, I figured Fizdef, or it's Spadef, so Cinderace is actually going to be able to 2 a KO this thing, which means that Recover won't work against it, although I'm prone to missing moves. He raw Ice Beams me, revealing that he's not full defensive. He packed Ice Beam, so I just go Empo, wanting to get a Toxic on this thing really badly. And the Ice Beam does like negligible damage. We reveal to be not leftovers though. He goes Delta Aurorus, and honestly nailing this thing with a Toxic, also fine. Cutting that recovery that it gets, it's such a powerful recovery. Cutting that is nice. I'll set my rocks here just to try to limit the amount of potential switches he can do. He goes for Earth Power, and I did not think that Earth Power was going to be the bring. I'm going to be honest. So yeah, we got into my Hoopa here as he raw beams, which is a nice read on his part. He does reveal the lefties. I thought he might have been AV potentially, revealing Earth Power, but no. He goes Milo as I just fire off a Volt Switch. I didn't think that he would bring in his Stunfisk there, so I figured I could freely Volt Switch in. Now here I go Cinderace, and I figure he's either going to recover or he's going to attack me. He recovers here. So now that he's at 100%, I feel like I can click Pyro, scout the damage. That's a high roll, I believe. Shadow Ball hits me. Had I hit that Pyro, this thing would have been down. Aurorus comes out as I just click Pyro again, wanting to try to kill. Aurorus is nearly dead though, so I'm just able to fire off a U-turning guaranteed. Take this thing out and also reset that drop. So yeah, we've just kind of been maneuvering with this momentum. It's been super nice. I go Tangrowth trying to lure that Scizor right now, and we actually get it to come out. And we also get it to click Ice Punch into our Yachi, and we eat that. Takes 12, takes 10 off of Life Orb and Rough Skin, and Body Press is able to claim 1. Hallelujah, Tangrowth, you are so massive. Out comes the Delta Milo, and I'm just going to switch out into my P2, trace the regen, and we also, or he recovers, and at this point I can freely teleport. He Ice Beams, doesn't freeze, thank God. I teleport, getting some health back, so that I can better take on the Auroras, or not the Auroras, whatever's left, the Stunfisk. And then he just Shadow Balls me as I miss a Toxic. I wanted to 6-0 here, but like that Toxic miss, I was just like, no, I'm not going to. I'm just going to let my Empo go down, and I'll just go out into my Cinderace and take the 2-hit KO. We actually sucker here because I wanted him in better range, and he's at 100. I don't think he was recovering yet. Also taking the Shadow Ball resist is nice. And we click Pyro here, I believe. No, he goes... Oh yeah, he goes Stunfisk to regen. We click Pyro. He goes down very low. And then we click Pyro again, finishing this thing off. Cinderace wants blood. He goes his Milo again, and at this point it's effectively GG. Because that does 58. He recovers. 58, I believe, was the min roll. And then we click it again, and if we hit, there it goes. That's game. We successfully won our round 1 playoff game. Round 2, we either faced Palm Tree, who we lost to, or Mythlo, who we didn't play. 50-50, because I want revenge against Palm for sure. I feel like I can play better this time, and I feel like I can win. But I also want to play Mythlo for the first time. I think my matchup is better in that game as well. So it'll be interesting to see who we play. I don't think that game's been played yet. So, yeah. We were able to clutch up a 5-0 round 1 of playoffs. 2 more games until that championship. But until next time, Jesse504 out. Peace.